honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
Good morning, America. You're listening to America's Voice Now. We're going to touch on some pretty touchy issues today. There's a recent PDF, which I've posted up on our website and up on our Facebook page, which indicates that the issue of the dissemination of Missouri's CCW holders' information has gone far beyond that which it was originally stated by the Missouri Highway Patrol and others involved. I have in my hand interoffice communications and requests in writing from MIAC, or to MIAC, excuse me, from Special Agent Keith Schilb with the Social Security Office of the Inspector General's Office, in which they're requesting, well, I'm going to read it to you. Special printout comprehensive list of CCW holders is the subject of the email. Forwarded to Doug Middleton from MIAC. It says, Special Agent Keith Schilb with Social Security Office of the Inspector General's Office of Investigations is requesting a comprehensive list of every person who holds a concealed carry weapons permit in Missouri. They will use this information to compare those persons who have applied to or been awarded benefits based on mental disability to either prove existence of benefits fraud or to prove their involvement in knowingly concealing a mental defect, making them ineligible to possess a firearm. Here's the kicker. This will be a joint venture with Social Security Administration and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Ladies and gentlemen, what you have here is an investigation looking for a reason to exist. This was in January of 2013, January 24th. In addition to that, there's a document that went with the CD that was mailed because they said that the data was too big to be emailed in an Excel spreadsheet. Which ought to tell you something, because I work with Excel spreadsheets every day. One, they're very small. Even with a lot of data in there, they're very small because that's just text and it can be easily compressed. Which tells you that they must have an enormous amount of information on each individual inside this database and in each of the columns in Excel. It says attached, a CD which contains a special printout of all individuals having a CCW permit reflected on either their driver's license or non-driver's license for a total of 163,247 records. The CD contains two files, one in Notepad and one in Excel. The password for encryption of the CD is MOCCW. There's also an interoffice communication from Doug Phillips to a Larry Schrader, who was with the Highway Patrol. Doug Phillips it's marked OA, and I'm not quite sure what OA is. Request a printout on secure FTP of everyone statewide that has a CCW on their driver's license or ID card. All that is needed is the name, social security number, and date of birth. Folks, what we have here is a smoking gun that expresses and explains to you exactly why our federal and state governments are 100% out of control. This is proof positive we live in a police state. Proof positive. They're going to investigate Missouri CCW holders without probable cause, look into everyone's records, 163,247 to be exact, based on the premise that some of those people may have applied for Social Security benefits and simultaneously been the holder of a CCW permit. Here's another email from Keith Schilb. And Keith is from, I'm not sure where he's from, Special Agent, Social Security Administration, Office of the Inspector General. That's where he's from, in St. Louis. Karen, addressed to, well, I'm not sure who Karen is. And CC'd to a Barry Stephen, or Stephen Barry, excuse me. The Social Security Administration, Office of the Inspector General, SSA, OIG, is requesting a list of people who currently have a CCW in the state of Missouri. The purpose for this list is to cross-match it to the Social Security Administration database for people who are currently collecting disability for a mental illness. In an electronic form, the SSA OIG would need the name, Social Security number, and date of birth. Once the people are identified who are collecting disability for mental illness and also have a CCW, I will contact your office to coordinate a joint investigation. Please call me when you have this information, and I will come to your office to retrieve it. If you have any questions, please call. So, let's understand exactly what this is. This is a group of bureaucrats in both the Social Security Administration and the ATF and the Missouri Highway Patrol who have, for whatever reason that they believe is appropriate, taken this information and are now sharing it amongst themselves for the purposes of an investigation that has no probable cause. That is a clear violation of any and all judicial practice. It is indefensible. No court will uphold this information. No court would give credibility or credence to the concept that these people have the right to begin an investigation on 163,247 people without knowing whether there's actually any of them in the database who might fail the test. This is pre-crime. This is treason. Treason against the citizens of the state of Missouri by the Missouri Highway Patrol, by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, by the MIAC. Now, by the governor as well, by the way. Let's make no mistake, this is the same governor who supported the MIAC when they came out with the Modern Militia Movement report. Just so you understand, the MIAC is the Missouri Information Analysis Center. This is one of the nefarious fusion centers that combines resources from the Federal Department of Homeland Security and other agencies, in particular local agencies. It collects intelligence from both local agencies, the Department of Homeland Security, and uses these combined resources to analyze threats and better combat terrorism and other criminal activity. They opened in 2005 in Jefferson City, Missouri. The MIAC, which was relatively unknown until, until 2009, When we get back, we're going to investigate this report that they leaked out, or that was leaked actually on them, which was called the Modern Militia Movement. We're going to return in a minute. And I'm telling you, this is going to be a power-packed show. Stick with us for the next segment.
Having difficulty with your computer? Do you think it has a mind of its own? Well, don't be alarmed. This happens to everyone at some point in time. Worry no more. Computer Dave and Kyle can help you out with PC Geeks, a weekly show right here on 107.1 The Point. Tune in Thursdays at 1 o'clock to ask computer-related questions and listen to the web topic of the week. That's PC Geeks here on 107.1 The Point.
Out of 365 days a year, we celebrate holidays, anniversaries, and other important days. But there is one day you look forward to, your birthday. I wanna wish you a happy birthday. Ryan's Steakhouse of West Plains is proud to bring you the Birthday Club weekday mornings with Cooper & Company. Our daily winner receives one buffet and a drink to Ryan's. Just call your birthdays in weekday mornings with Cooper & Company at 255-0427. Brought to you by Ryan's and the Ozarks Best News Talk.
And happy birthday to you! Cha-cha-cha-cha.
Okay, we're back. You know, the MIAC, the Fusion Center, has been known, and by the way, a report recently came out that the vast majority of these fusion centers are using data mining and all kinds of surveillance technology and all kinds of other surreptitious and nefarious methods. And yet, for all of the money we are spending, they are a waste of time. In fact, there was a recent report out that showed that most of these organizations and groups provided or produced zero information. Literally zero. So what we want to do, what we want to make you aware of, is the fact that all of this information is now in the hands of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the Social Security Administration, the Missouri Highway Patrol, and we don't even know who else. We don't even know who else. Imagine that. We also know that it has been disseminated to Morpho Trust. And so today, our goal is going to be to drive an enormous volume and number of phone calls through Wake Up Wednesday to our state and our state legislators, our federal legislators, and to our governor's office. We're going to demand a couple of things. And here's what they are. One, you're going to pass House and Senate here in Missouri. You're going to pass the Second Amendment Preservation Act, and you're going to do so immediately, if not sooner. The Second Amendment Preservation Act is actually hitting the floor as we speak today. There's also a vote going on in the Senate on the federal side today, and you need to be aware that they are also attempting to ram through the new CISPA Act. It is time for you, ladies and gentlemen, to take action immediately. I got to tell you, Kansas just signed the similar Second Amendment Preservation Act. Alaska just signed it as well. Where is Missouri? This has been languishing in our House and in our Senate for months. And if we don't get it passed immediately, what's going to happen is we're going to lose the opportunity to go back in after. In other words, if this thing isn't voted on this session and the governor vetoes it, and you can bet your bottom dollar that Jay the traitor Nixon will veto this, then we have no opportunity to go back in this session and override his veto. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a bulletproof, veto-proof majority in the House and the Senate here in Missouri. So, why is it languishing in the House and in the Senate? Why? You must demand an answer to those questions. I'm going to give you a series of telephone numbers that you can call today to demand the following of our House and Senate representatives in Missouri, in our legislature and assembly. Your goal is to call your local representative, and he's more than likely, in other words, the House has already voted on this. Right now, it's sitting in the hands of the Senate. And so what we need to do is contact, in this area, Mike Cunningham, and let his office know with an overwhelming response that SB 325 must be passed today. Must. It's not optional. And if our Senate and our House fail to honor our wishes as a state, we will take drastic action to remove them from office. We will put our time, our effort, our money, and our energy into making sure that their re-election campaigns never see the light of day again. This is not an optional issue for us, because what we have here is federal agencies that are intruding and stomping all over the rights of individuals in the state of Missouri. The Second Amendment Preservation Act will do one thing immediately. It nullifies all federal authority related to firearms in the state of Missouri. That's why it must be passed. Because if they're going to take this information, which they've gathered and garnered by surreptitious and nefarious means to commit identity theft, we have to have a bulwark to fight back against them. And here's what it is. The Second Amendment Preservation Act says, we don't really give a damn what your report turned up. You can get out of the state of Missouri right now. We are, ladies and gentlemen, under the gun here. If you don't get what's happening, if you don't see what's happening in our nation, wow, I don't know what you're waiting for. The Alaska legislature passed the bill to nullify the federal firearms gun grabs and laws. It just passed in Kansas. And yet we sit here with it in our House and our Senate where it's been running for months. Months. Yet they rammed Jason Smith's constitutional amendment to give Monsanto a freebie. They rammed that through in a couple of weeks. So, senators, what the hell are you waiting for? Does somebody have to grease the skids with greenbacks in order for you to take action? Is that what it takes? You don't care what the people say, right? You're only interested in making sure that your re-election is secured. Is that what you're trying to tell us? Because that's where the evidence points. That's what the evidence states. If there's no money, there's no vote. No money, no votey. Is that it? Is that how the state of Missouri operates? You've got a corrupted, tyrannical governor, a Missouri Highway Patrol that is basically betrayed the citizens of the state of Missouri and committed identity theft, of 2 federal agencies that are operating in cahoots with them, and a House and Senate sitting on a bill that will preserve the Second Amendment rights of Missouri citizens. I wonder what you're waiting for. I've got to ask the obvious question. What exactly is the holdup? You rammed Jason Smith's garbage through so that it could be on the ballot as a constitutional amendment to preserve Monsanto's billions? Shameful. But here, a legitimate bill that actually provides something for the benefits of the benefit of the citizens of Missouri, and you guys can't get your hands around it. Today, ladies and gentlemen, is Wednesday. What exactly is the premise of today? We're going to make Wake Up Wednesday the day where you hammer through with unrelenting force. You pick up the telephone, you hammer through email that demands that this assembly pass the Second Amendment Preservation Act. We're not asking anymore, people. We're demanding. We are demanding immediate response. This cannot wait any longer. We already know what's going to happen if we don't. You don't have to think hard to figure out what the SSA and the ATF are going to do with this information. They're combing through their databases right now, and they're picking up anyone who has ever applied for SSI under a mental disability. They're then combining that with their CCW permit information, and they're going after those people on a criminal charge of 1, fraud against SSA, and 2, violation of federal gun law. Really? Well, how do we know whether or not the person, there's all kinds of issues surrounding this. Was the person diagnosed before or after they got their CCW? What are the circumstances surrounding that individual's personal circumstance? And I can tell you this, I don't trust the F Troop, BATF, to come out with a reasonable and fair explanation or investigation into those people. Nor do I trust the SSA. You know why? Because they're all ideologues and they're traitors. Traitors to the American nation and the Republic of the United States of America. They're violating their oath as we speak. They violated it in writing right here. Where are the criminal charges? Where's the impeachment process against Jay Nixon for his lies regarding this dissemination of information? Today, today, Wake Up Wednesday is about the Second Amendment Preservation Act, and we're going to get to CISPA, which is a federal bill, and the Federal Gun Act in the next segment. I'm telling you that if we do not fight this thing and get it resolved now while we have a chance, we are going to lose our nation. And you know what? We have limited influence in Washington. The money, the lobbyists, the ideologues, the mentality of the people, even those who claim themselves to be conservatives, is clearly way out of kilter. We have lost our federal government. It is lost to us. It is beyond salvage. But our state, there we have some influence. There we have some power. And here is where we must make our stand. That stand needs to take the form of you picking up the telephone today, getting your keyboard and sending an email. Have you been filling out witness forms on these bills as they go through? Go to mofirst.org and start filling out witness forms for every piece of legislation that comes down the pike. That's the only way you're going to get your say. We're going to take a break. When we return, we're going to talk about CISPA, and I'm going to give you a list of phone numbers for you to start calling for Wake Up Wednesday. We'll be back in just a moment.
Fox News Alert. I'm Chris Foster. Some of the 170-plus people hurt in the Boston Marathon bombing are home now, but some face more surgery and life without limbs.
You have to be honest with patients about that, and it's a very difficult thing for both the patients, especially, and their families, and the caregivers.
Dr. Peter Burke is chief trauma surgeon at Boston Medical Center. No more victims are expected to die. 3 did. The youngest, Martin Richard, 8 years old.
It hurts, I mean, it's a kid. It's a family.
He's a neighbor. Also killed were Crystal Campbell, 29, from Medford, Massachusetts. Her family was initially told she was badly injured. It was an identity mix-up with a friend. And Lu Ling Zi was from China, attending Boston University as a graduate student. The FBI still chasing down leads, asking anyone with even possible information to come forward. This is a Fox News Alert.
Get a hold of Brian down at Ozark Mountain Self-Reliance. You can call him at 870-492-4030, or you can find him on the web at ozarkmtnselfreliance.com. Located a half-mile east of Walmart and Route 62 in Mountain Home. My friends over at Chantilly's Artisan Bakery at 255-2253, number 2 Evans Arcade off the square in West Plains. Best damn bakery in 100 miles. You can reach Mary at 255-2253. My friend Bill Stone over at Stone Construction at 293-0116. Whether remodeling or doing new or custom construction or light commercial, Bill's the guy for you. 293-0116. West Plains Pawn and Gun, located on Route 160, just about a mile east of Walmart on the right-hand side. westplainspawn.com. You can also reach them by a telephone at 417-256-3000. Friends over at the battery station at 303 Washington Avenue, right off the square in West Plains. You can find them on the web at batterystation.com, and you can call them at 417-257-7799. Also, don't forget to stop by Pizza Hut for an outstanding lunch special between 11 and 2. Salad and pasta all together. You can also visit them on Tuesday evenings for family night. Kids eat free under 12. And Jason over at Wits End Classic Barbershop, sponsor of our telephone line. Make sure that you see Wits End Classic Barbershop for your next shave and a haircut. Outstanding, fine young man, and a great patriot as well. He's on the square in West Plains.
Last time on the Dennis Miller Show.
At an event thrown by the website Politico, Bill Gates said, quote, "Some days I wish we had a system like the UK, quote, to give Obama more power." Yeah, some days I wish Windows worked like Apple. How's that, Billy Boy? These guys are fetishistic. He wants it to work more like the UK. He wants to see Obama padding around in one of those powder
Weekdays from 9 till noon, it's the Dennis Miller Zone on the Ozark's best News Talk 107.1.
Weather is a service of News Talk 107.1 The Point. Contact Josh or Cody at 255-2548 for more information on making weather sponsorships part of your marketing plans.
From the Point Weather Center, for this morning, mostly cloudy skies. Be a couple of showers and thunderstorms around through the day. The high temperature 80, mostly cloudy tonight with thunderstorms likely, low 64. Thunderstorms tomorrow could be severe, including the risk of isolated tornadoes, high 72. Much cooler Friday. I'm staff meteorologist Jim Rinaldi, and for more information, visit my1071thepoint.com.
If you're looking for a new or used pistol, shotgun, or rifle, West Plains Pawn & Gun has over 450 firearms in stock. All your favorite models like Beretta, Glock, Smith & Wesson, Kimber, and many, many more. West Plains Pawn & Gun is also a Class 3 arms dealer, so if they don't have it on the shelf, West Plains Pawn & Gun can order it for you. Even those hard-to-get guns. West Plains Pawn & Gun, 1713 U.S. Highway 160 West in West Plains, or online at westplainspawn.com.
Okay. The Second Amendment Preservation Act is on the floor today in the House, and here is your telephone numbers. If you don't have a pen and paper handy, I don't know why you're listening to this show. We give out information all the time. Your job is to take it down and then act, right? I do the research and do the homework for you. I alert you, I educate you, I inform you. You're then supposed to take that information and educate yourself further, inform those around you that you have a circle of influence upon, activate yourself and those around you, and then take action. Right? Here's the Missouri Assembly switchboard. This is the standard switchboard number. You call up and you ask for your representative by name. You ask for your state senator and or your state representative. The Missouri Assembly switchboard number, this is the primary number, 573-751-2000. That's 573-751-2000. The next number is the Federal Congressional switchboard. This is 202-224-3121. 202-224-3121. There are also two toll-free numbers that I'll give out right now for the Federal Congressional switchboard. 877-762-8762 or 877-210-5351. I'm going to give them out again. Toll frees, 877-762-8762 or 877-210-5351. The two regular numbers again, non-toll frees. The Missouri Assembly switchboard, 573-751-2000. And the Federal Congressional non-toll free number, 202-224-3121. So your job today is to pick up the telephone and call first the Missouri Assembly switchboard. Contact your representative in your area who's in the House and demand that today they pass the Second Amendment Preservation Act. Then you want to call your Federal Congressional switchboard, and here's why. CISPA is up for a secret vote today. They've shoved this thing through, and right now they're ramming it. They're trying to ram this thing through the federal Congress, and we are about to get. If you don't know what CISPA is, we can get into that. Trust me, CISPA is the worst thing that can occur to you. It allows the NSA to basically take any and every piece of information they want and use it against you. There are basically no checks and balances against it. This includes the ability of NSA to sift through the private data of American citizens with no oversight. Folks, if you need to hear more than that about CISPA, you're way too damned analytical. If the NSA has access to your information without limits, God help you. I mean, they'll be looking at everything, your electronic underwear. Okay, good morning, caller. Welcome to the show. Hi, you're online.
Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
I just wanted to say, we keep passing these laws, and the laws are basically just for us, Michael. They're not for them. If NICS can break them, if the Commandant can break them, what's one more law? If we pass this Missouri House bill,
okay, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you though,
it won't do anything. It has penalties in there for misdemeanors, but they'll protect them. They'll fund their lawyers. They'll keep them out of jail. They'll postpone.
Yeah, but hang on a second. Hang on a second. It does something else. Yes, it may only be a misdemeanor for a federal agent to come in here, but it does something else. It gives American citizens in Missouri the right to defend themselves against a federal intrusion. It gives you and your neighbor the ability to stand there and say, I don't know who you are, but you've got ATF on your jacket, and that means you need to leave here because you have no authority. And it means a group of neighbors can stand there and turn them away. It means that a series of civilians can stand there and say, not today. You have no authority here. All federal firearms laws are null and void in the state of Missouri. Now get lost. That is a big difference. It gives citizens the right, the ability, the wherewithal to say, not today. You have no authority. That's a big difference. It doesn't matter. You see, the penalty of the misdemeanor thing is only after they've committed their act, whatever that may be. Right?
Yes.
So, but what it does do is it gives civilians and citizens the protection of the law to be able to say, you know what, you might have a federal warrant in your hand, but your warrant is absolutely useless here. Now leave.
But how many citizens are going to have the wherewithal, the nerve, the spine, the guts, the balls to stand to somebody with ATF, FBI, NSA or whatever other alphabet is on their jacket and say, no, go away. It's not.
Well, that's up to the individual, though, Kevin. That's not something that's not something that those people who know better will be able to turn around and say, sorry, but we have the Second Amendment Preservation Act here in the state of Missouri, and you have no authority in this state, and therefore I do not honor your warrant. And I'm not going to accept it. And then pick up the telephone and call 20 of their friends and neighbors and say, they're trying to come into my house.
And then when they decide they're going to take you on that warrant, you think our Governor Nixon is going to stand up to the federal government and do anything about it? No, he'll capitulate.
No, but what it does do is it allows all the citizens in the community to turn around and say, we are doing a citizen's arrest.
And try to take down these federal officers?
Yes. Absolutely.
If
they insist upon trying, wait a second. If they insist upon trying to execute a federal warrant in an area where they have no jurisdiction, there's absolutely no problem with a group of civilians standing in front of that premise, that property, that building, that porch, whatever it is, and saying, you're not coming in here, and if you insist upon trying to come in here, we're going to have to execute a citizen's arrest.
But the problem with that is warrants are usually secret until they're served, and then the chances of you organizing a group to get there to help you are.
Hey, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm saying it gives the citizen the ability and the wherewithal to say, I've got a defensive position to fall back on. I've got the law on my side now, not the other way around.
I know. I love the idea. I'm afraid it's going to pacify people, just like when George Bush signed the. This law says, we must have a U.S. border fence. Yeah, the law says we must have a U.S. border fence, but we're not going to build the damn thing. And so what if people, we're going to pacify the population and say, yes, we're going to build a border fence because the law says so, but we're not going to build it.
Okay, I understand your concern. I don't think it will pacify people. I think, in fact, it will reinvigorate the vast majority of the citizens in the state of Missouri to say, we've gotten a victory. We do have the wherewithal to take this thing on and actually whip it. We've won this particular battle. Yes, the war is still on, but we have the wherewithal and the ability, and now we have the legal justification to say, not today, not here, no more. And that way, when Congress does pass a federal gun bill that says you've got to get a background check to sell a gun to your own father, you can say, you know what, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. You see, what it does is it says all laws that are federal in nature, that are related to firearms in the Second Amendment, are null and void. It is a nullification statement. And I'm telling you, it carries far greater weight than you're giving it credit for.
But if a state like Montana, the governor in Montana will veto his. I mean, gosh, what chance do we have?
It doesn't. No, there's a good question. So the governor might veto it. Guess what? That's the whole point of getting it passed today. Because if it's passed today, the governor has, I think it's a week or 10 days to sign it. If he doesn't sign it, then it automatically becomes law. If he does veto it, then we still have enough time left in the session of Congress to turn around and say, we're going to override his veto. And we did it with concealed carry. We can definitely do it with the Second Amendment Preservation Act. I'm telling you, right now, today is the day to get this thing closed. And I'm telling you, irrespective of how much you think this may be fluff and fodder, it is not. This is a legitimate piece of legislation that gives the Missouri citizenry and the state of Missouri the declaration of independence to exercise its 10th Amendment right to determine its own sovereignty, its own direction. And I'm telling you that this amendment, or that this Second Amendment Preservation Act, is an absolute mandatory requirement in order for us to move forward. I'm telling you.
No, Mike, I don't disagree with you on that point. I'm afraid it's going to, like I said, it's going to put people back to sleep. And
I don't think so.
There's so much more going on. You know what Obama's doing with the Trans-Pacific Partnership and the EU.
Hey, listen, I'm agreeing with you 100%, but what it does is it sets the groundwork, and it lays the groundwork for Missouri to say, you know what, federal government, we're nullifying a lot of your stuff. If they sign the treaty for the small arms treaty, we nullify that. If you want to turn around and try to pass TPP, we can nullify that. It gives the state the foundation to say nullification works, and here's how we're going to use it. We're going to take a break, folks. When we come back, we'll discuss further this CISPA law, and we'll continue with our drive for Wake Up Wednesday. We'll be back in just a moment.
Howell County Bank branch of Bank of Thayer, locally owned and operated since 1900. It's not what they do, it's how they do it. What does that mean? Roger London, president of Howell County Bank.
You know, when people come through the front door at our bank, they're going to be greeted by 2 or 3 people immediately before they hardly get in the door, and they're going to find a very, very warm environment and people that are enthusiastic about serving them.
At Howell County Bank, it truly is not what they do, but how they do it. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
If you're looking for great deals on iPads or Kindles, look no further than your neighborhood Radio Shack authorized sales center. They've got great deals on the latest iPads and Kindles. Maybe you need a new GPS or an MP3 player to get your music library ready for those barbecues. Whatever your electronic needs, stop by your local neighborhood Radio Shack authorized dealer in West Plains at 1408 Southern Hills Shopping Center or call 417-256-1819.
There's one man on this earth who really, truly gets it.
When Obama said he seeks to fundamentally transform America, he means fundamentally alter the nature of our republic, which in turn means to fundamentally reshape society and the citizens' relationship, our relationship to the federal government. The sovereign, we the people, become the subjects. Some people follow this willingly. Some people endorse it. I say hell no.
Weeknights from 5 till 8, Mark Levin on the Ozarks Best News Talk 107.1.
Hi, it's Hugh Hewitt on the next Hugh Hewitt Show. The Republican National Committee is in Los Angeles, and I'm talking to them following my show on whether or not the Republican National Committee actually has a clue on what they're doing. I think they do. They've got to come to Cleveland. I'll tell you why on the next Hugh Hewitt Show.
Sundays from 6 till 7, following Money Talk with Bob Brinker, it's the Weekend Journal with Hugh Hewitt on the Ozarks Best News Talk 107.1.
You know, I have to say something here. The goal of everything that we do is to do one thing and one thing alone. That is to drive people to be wiser and smarter, situationally aware about what's going on around them, and then to inform those within their area of influence. Then to be motivated by the information that they've learned that opens their eyes and awakens them to the realities around them. And then finally, to take action to prevent further damage. Now, I'm going to tell you something. While we were on a break, I had a caller call up, and she said, that last caller kept saying, I'm afraid that what it's going to do is put Americans back to sleep. I'm afraid that the federal government won't honor it. I'm afraid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. She said, let me tell you something. I don't want to go on the air, but I want to tell you what the definition of fear is. It's a 4-letter acronym, and here's what it stands for. False expectations appearing real. False expectations appearing real. You are falsely expecting something because you are expecting something in the future that may or may not materialize. And I'll tell you what, I would far rather have the ability to turn around and say, you know what, we've got the law on our side. I don't want Missouri citizens to be standing here bereft of a legal, of the ability to declare the law is on their side of this issue. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. CISPA, the Anti-Privacy CyberSecurity Bill. You want to give the NSA the ability to look in your electronic proverbial underwear? You go right ahead. I want no part of it. They already do it. They're just looking to legalize that which they're already doing. Because they know it's illegal. You know what? If you are expecting that when these federal agencies, and state agencies for that matter, are abusing your rights, if you are going to cringe in fear, if you are going to cower before the master, you go right ahead and do that. I'm not going to. Is your life so dear, or peace so sweet, as to be purchased at the price of slavery and chains? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others will take. But as for me, give me liberty or give me death. Patrick Henry. I had someone, there's 8,000 views on that show I did called Enough is Enough on YouTube. More than 8,000. Over 10,000 with the overall group of the 90 Days to Change the World and that Enough is Enough. And it started about this issue, with the Highway Patrol disseminating our information all over the place. And a couple of the naysayers on there have said, well, this plan won't work. If you tell people to not pay their mortgage, they're going to lose their house, or they'll have their credit card seized. And I wrote back, I responded back in writing, and I said, you know something? Let me get this straight. You mean to tell me that our founding fathers, they put their lives, their sacred honor, their fortunes on the line? Their children were killed, their homes were burned, they were beaten, imprisoned. And you're worried about a couple of dings on your credit report? Are you insane? Is that where America's backbone is? Where a bunch of limp spaghetti, overcooked? People, you're either going to demand liberty and then be willing to take it and fight for it and utilize your power as the owner of this government, as a grassroots organization, or you're going to fall into slavery. If you think giving CISPA the ability to utilize anti-privacy in the cybersecurity bill is not going to affect your life, you're a damn fool. If you think for 1 minute that the Second Amendment Preservation Act sitting in front of the House of Missouri right now doesn't make a difference, then I give up on you. Do me and yourself a favor and go listen to some radio station that plays just endless, mind-numbing music. Or go listen to NPR, where you can be Kool-Aid bathed all day long. If what you believe is that you don't have the right to stand up for yourself, then you are beyond salvage to the rest of us, who are unwilling to give up until the blood has left our bodies. That the breath has left our bodies. I won't be one of them. I will not stand here and cower in fear. I will do everything in my power. I will speak out boldly and loudly. I will shout it from the rooftops. I will speak on the corner. I will talk to the guy in the grocery store line behind me. I will make sure that in every contact I have, every public touch, that I alert America about the tyranny that is pouring down the road to us. And you're either for us or you're against us. These days of sitting mildly on the fence, awaiting someone else to take action and save us from ourselves, they're over. They're over. It's that simple. They're over. We must be determined to resolve this problem with the power that we have. This government is us. And if you want to completely separate yourself from the process, then go ahead and do that. But don't denigrate the work that the rest of us are doing to save your ass. If you want to complain and whine, you go ahead. But if you don't want to stand up and participate in the process that the Republic has given us, the lawful process that we can take back this nation peacefully with civil disobedience and working within the system on legislation, I don't know what else to tell you. If you don't believe we can do it that way, then I'm assuming that all that you believe is either going to happen is we are going to fall into a bloody coup by a government, at which point we'll have to enact mutually assured destruction. That's called the Second Amendment for those of you who aren't awake yet. Or we absolutely capitulate to slavery, we cower down, and we lick the hand that feeds. But you have a choice now to make. You have an opportunity to make a decision. Today I stand for liberty and freedom, and I will do everything in my power. And I also am willing to put my life, my liberty, my fortune on the line. I do. Do you think this is without risk? Do you think my sitting here talking to you, putting these videos up on YouTube, sitting there keeping a log of all of this stuff that's out there on Facebook, do you think this comes without risk? And I willingly accept it. I'm willing to put my life, my liberty, my freedom. I have no fortune, but I will not rest. On the bottom of every email that I send out, it says, as God is my witness, I will fight to the death to preserve the light of liberty in our republic. Where do you stand? Where do you stand? Are you courageous enough and convicted enough to stand up for what you believe in? Or will you stand on the sidelines and say, I don't want to get involved. I'm nervous. They're going to monitor me. The IRS may get a secret request to begin an audit of me. The ATF may come and knock on my door. The Secret Service might come to my house. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I'm a concealed carry holder. They're going to take my information and maybe look at it and then compile it together with other federal agency. Oh, sorry, that one's already happened. What are you waiting for? Do they have to come to your door with guns blazing in order for you to see the reality that you live in a police state right now and that you have the opportunity to resist peacefully, civilly, before the whole thing blows up in our face? I don't know what more we can do to educate you and to inform you about what's going on around you. You're either going to have to make a stand for freedom, or you're going to lose the freedom that you have. I don't know what you're waiting for, America. I know this. Time is up for this show and our nation to sit on the fence. You're listening to America's Voice Now. Find us on the web at www.americasvoicenow.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/America's Voice Now, and on YouTube at youtube.com/America's Voice Now.
From West Plains, Missouri, it's KBMV Birch Tree, the Ozarks' best news talk.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony.
Boston is not going to be intimidated by this, but we're going to find out who did this.
Secretary of State